People let their dog crap all over the street and then I have to pick it up and Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Jenna. I have been an international living here in Germany since 2014, and I share all of my tips and tricks to relocating and getting to know Germany without all of these prior mistakes that I definitely made along my bumpy road. If you want to check out more information, you can go to lifeingermany.com. Otherwise, let's talk about the funniest things, or at least for me, the funniest things that I think that Germans complain about on a daily basis. I decided to create this video because there is that stereotype that Germans do tend to whine or complain a lot. And I have to say, for the most part, I know some of you Germans might disagree with me, but coming from a country where I feel like people just never complain, and if they do, they complain hardcore in the comfort of their own home with their partners or their children or whatever. But on the streets, like in public, I find that people tend to complain or bicker a lot here in Germany. And it's not a bad thing, it's just something that I've noticed that is quite frequent here, and that I kind of like to just give myself a little like chuckle, you know, because I don't know, I think it's just like ingrained into the culture here. And again, it's not a bad thing, it's just something that I've noticed, and that I have to say, guys, this stereotype is definitely true. So I wrote a list of all of the things I've spent like the last month analyzing my husband, his family, my friends when we're chatting, and trying to figure out what do they really complain about the most. And there are actually very common topics that I find that they all complain about at some point or another. And I also should mention that I find it really funny that when people are chatting, like even in a bar or at a club, I mean, not a club, you're gonna be dancing, but like in a social setting, outside, at a picnic, at the playground with your kids, so many people just like, if you don't know what to talk about, the best thing to do is just like complain about something. So let me mention a few. I think that some of these might resonate with you guys, even if you're not German, because I myself also find that sometimes I actually end up complaining about some of these things too. So number one would have to be, for all of you guys living in the city centers around Germany, these e-scooters drive Germans absolutely bonkers. I mean, you and everybody else has every right to complain about these e-scooters because yes, they are fantastic. They're a great way to get around the city, but people park them absolutely everywhere. Like, I'm talking, you open the door to your apartment and there's just like an e-scooter sitting right in front of your door. It just drives people nuts. And I have to say, for me, it really bothered me too, because I have a child who's still in a stroller, and every time I'm walking on the sidewalk, I have to either like park the stroller, go pick up the e-scooter that somebody's knocked over because, I don't know, maybe they were pissed off that somebody parked it there, and then move it. And with these massive batteries, it's not that easy just to like pick it up and move it. And when I have my son who's like throwing a terrible tantrum in the middle of the street, I'm just like, gah! I can't deal with it anymore. So people have their reasons for complaining about e-scooters. I'll give you that for sure. Number two would have to be, especially with my friends and family, complaining about the lack of vacation days here in Germany. As a Canadian or as a North American, I have to laugh every single time somebody complains about not having enough vacation days here in Germany, because coming from North America, we get 10 days of vacation. I know in one of my other videos I mentioned, I'll link it up above for you, but reasons why Germany is better than Canada. One of those reasons being that Germany has so many more vacation days. And I know a bunch of Canadians mentioned, you know, I do get more than 10 vacation days, but it takes a little bit. You know, you have to work yourself up the ladder to get there. And that's what I was talking about. For me, I never experienced getting any more than 10 vacation days in a year. So Germany, so Germans, you guys have it so lucky with like a minimum of 24, 25 vacation days. This is like almost an entire month. Plus, a lot of you also get those special bridge days, and you've got so many holidays to look forward to. I never, not once, have ever felt like I needed more vacation days than what Germany gives me or gives my husband to take off and to enjoy some good quality time. I think we have enough vacation days here, but I can imagine, if you've never experienced otherwise, you're always going to find a reason to complain. And I think that's natural for everybody. I think all around the world, people complain about not having enough vacation days, where in Canada, we complain about only having 10, but there are also countries that have less than that. Number 3, and I am with you guys, has got to be the taxes and the cost of health insurance and simply the cost of living at the end of the day. Taxes in Germany are very, very high, especially when you're comparing to some of the other countries here in Europe, like Estonia. It does cost a lot of money in taxes in Germany, especially if you make a lot of money. So you can pay anywhere between, 14-15% to almost 50% of your income. So while yes, this can be kind of shitty, I always think that it's worth it because we're getting what we pay for. Some people disagree, and that's usually the theme of the conversation as to why people might disagree or why people might agree that the percentage of taxes is so high here in Germany. Sorry, I'm looking at my glasses. These are blue light glasses, by the way. I don't need glasses, but I get really nasty migraines. But these glasses look so foggy and fingerprinty to me, and I really hope you guys haven't been watching this whole video being like, oh, she's so gross. She doesn't clean her glasses. I feel so naked without them now that I work every day with them. And number 4 would be complaining about their neighbors. This is very common, especially in the city, probably in the towns too. I'm not sure. Let me know, guys, in the comment section below if you do live in a town, if this is also common for you. But I find that here in Düsseldorf, people always have something to say about their neighbors, whether they're being too loud or they're too dirty or they don't clean the staircase every other week, which is my problem. I have a kid and I have to clean the staircase every other week with my child, and it is like next to impossible. So people get mad at me. Granted, I would get mad at me too. It's nice to have a clean staircase, but there's just so many different reasons to complain about your neighbors, whether they leave the dog poop out front of the house or they park their bike in front of your car or whatever they do. There's just a million reasons why people don't like their neighbors or why they just like to complain about them. Which leads me to my next point, number 5. People love to complain about dogs here in Germany. I find like this dog to human contact, this cultural difference is very significant between North America and between Germany. I feel like people treat their dogs here as like trained human beings, like they're prized possession, but you can't touch them, you can't play with them. Like they have usually very strict rules when they're going on a walk, for example, or whatever. So I know now not to pet dogs. I know now not to be friendly with them because maybe they're in training mode or whatever. I don't know. This was my experience, but I also find that mostly people just love to complain about people let their dog crap all over the street and then I have to pick it up and this happens all the time on my street, all the time. What about you guys? I don't know. Number 6, at least for my husband, I'm not sure if this is like it for all Germans, but I know like there's a common stereotype that people like to say Germans really need this frische Luft or this fresh air running through the house. And I actually have become like addicted to it myself now because it is a really nice way just to get some fresh air through the house, feel like it's nice and clean. I always do this during spring cleaning, even in Canada. But my German husband does it all the time. We're like in the middle of winter right now and we have like -3 degrees. And he's opening all the windows and my little kid is like running around naked after his bath and it's freezing cold in the house. I go through, I close all the windows. 5 minutes later, my husband comes back, opens every single window as if like, not to say like, screw you, Jenna, why did you close the windows? But he's like, I thought I opened these windows, and then just opens them again. And every time I'm like, babe, can you please keep the windows closed when our son is running around naked in the house? And he needs his fresh air. It's just like second nature. It's like life, he needs his fresh air. Number 7 is definitely the weather. I also have to agree though, usually like for half of the year, okay, not half of the year, that's exaggerating, but like between the months of, October, November, December, January, February, sometimes even March, it's pretty rainy and it's like always gray here. I'm always happy when we get snow because that usually comes with some sunshine, but I feel like for so many months in the year, there's just so much rain here in Germany. So it's common to complain about the weather. And I think that's like the easiest thing when you don't know somebody, like perhaps playground chat, because every time somebody comes to me, to talk to me were usually in the rain, and they're like, oh, how terrible is this weather today, huh? Like, when is it gonna get sunny? Oh, I'm so excited for spring. These are all like very common sentences that we use on the playground or anywhere else. I find that complaining about the weather usually tends to happen with people who aren't very close, who are just meeting people, because it is just such an easy conversation to talk about with anybody. But my very last point, I have to mention this, and this is a new one for me and of course for all of you, but I have to say, between talking to my Canadian friends and my German friends and family, I am so shocked at how often this topic comes up in daily life, regardless of who I'm talking to, who is German here in Germany. And that is complaining about the pandemic, how Germany's handled the pandemic, how Merkel could have done this, this, and this to make it better. And just like everybody has so many different opinions on how this pandemic in Germany has been handled, that this is probably like the hottest debate of the century for Germans. And this debate comes up day after day after day with every single person I know. I'm relatively neutral. I find that Germany and Angela Merkel have handled the situation pretty well, but I know I'm going to get comments from you guys in the comment section below, and that's fine. You can let me know. We can have a debate there too. That's no problem. But these were 8 things that I find really, really funny that I think that Germans complain about a lot, quite often, and I'm sure that you probably agree with me on a number of these. I think even for you as Germans, some of you probably even like chuckled a little bit throughout and been like, oh yeah, true, I totally complain about that all the time. So don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about Germans. Again, I love being here, I love living in Germany, and I always remind you guys that this is just something fun, something that I've been thinking about, and something that I thought might entertain you guys, especially during this pandemic. That is all for me. Vielen, vielen lieben Dank und wie immer, bis später.